All right, I think I'm set. We've got things recording, so we'll have this recorded and up on our website soon. Well, hope everyone's having a wonderful day. This is the Essential Tools for an Amazon Seller webinar. I'm Scott Scharf. I'm the co-founder of Catching Clouds. We provide outsourced e-commerce accounting services. My co-founder and partner, Patty Scharf, and wife, we're very happy to kind of get to this next evolution of our business where we're providing the Catching Clouds Academy. We're providing detailed online e-commerce accounting training for both accountants and sellers. And so we're just kind of putting a bunch of information together and really wanted to kind of explain these are the different tools that we see our sellers, our customers using. Plus, I'm a big geek for technology. My background's IT. So let me get started. All right. So I'm going to cover, this is in the agenda. So I'm going to talk about accounting tools. I'm going to talk about sales tax tools and purchase orders and cloud inventory and analytics and a bunch of other stuff. I'm kind of taking this backwards from most of the other webinars or blogs that I see that all talk at the front end of, hey, here's how you do search and other things. I'm going to kind of talk about the back office tools, which is really kind of our approach. All right. So overview. You want to use tools to magnify your time. We're in this API app economy. As a seller, you really our most valuable resource is time, even before money. And you really want to magnify your time as an accountant, as a seller. And some of these tools are phenomenal at really kind of magnifying what you can do. And keep in mind, we're talking about Amazon sellers, e-commerce businesses. This is 24/7, wild, wild west, all kinds of stuff going on. And, keeping tabs on all the things that Amazon is doing is pretty critical as well. So the next thing you want to do is aggregate data. Now, if you're really happy and you're an Excel geek, like a lot of our accountants. Uh-oh, I'm going to get some feedback. Something's going on. Yeah.
Can't see your screen.
Oh, what? Oh, shoot. I did everything. I've done a bazillion of these. I've done everything but share my screen, which I've done a million times. So I'm actually going to share my screen, which I can't believe I forgot. So now I'm super embarrassed. So now I'm going to go back at least to this slide. So there's the beginning. Sorry, everybody. Well, you got to see me talk and chat away. So there's the agenda, same thing as the invite. All right, here's where I'm at. Yeah, I got pretty logos and other stuff. All right, so, all right, starting over. Magnify your time. The next thing we want to do is you want to aggregate data. Now, you might be an Excel geek and love downloading data and pivoting data and everything else, and that's a great way to learn the data, but the most important, learn what's going on in the data and understand, and Amazon is releasing a few new tools in Seller Central here and there that are kind of nice, and use those. But there's just a certain point where you really need to use these tools so that you're not spending any of your time aggregating the data. You're spending your time analyzing it, understanding it, and making decisions. That's where you should spend your time, not, ooh, it's so much fun to download all these Seller Central reports and all that fun stuff. Every once in a while you might want to dig back in if you think a report changed or something looks weird in your account, but you really want to spend your time analyzing and deciding versus doing the grunt work. Okay, let the computers do the computer work and let all these tools that I'm going to talk about solve the problems that they were either solving for themselves or others. Use it to make better decisions. If you can get better data, if you can't look at numbers, I'm very much a verbal person and a image and a graphical person more, and I tend to like to read text and numbers, but if you're a visual person and you need a graph or a chart that has 8 colors on it and that's more meaningful for you, then pick the tool that you read and has more meaning for you. So figure out the tools that help you make better decisions. Use tools to scale your business before you hire a virtual assistant, before you hire employees or include, teens or neighbor kids or whoever in your business, okay? You need to have a standardized process. You might do things one way, but if you don't, excuse me, if you don't have a standardized process and a flow chart of what's going on. And a lot of these tools provide that structure. They automate creating inbound shipments into Amazon. They automate receiving products and purchase orders and things along those lines. So instead of saying, well, I do it this way one time and I do it another way another time, we definitely want to do that. Let me see, make sure I have my chat screen up and I'll get that out of the way. All right. Yeah, my volume will go down if I cough. Sorry about that. I'll pause longer after I cough. So hopefully it's picking back up again and I can move my microphone. All right, so use the tools to scale your business. That's what you're doing. And look, I think it's great if you can hire friends and family and have this great small business. And we want small businesses to employ more people. But the first thing you want to do is get as much profitability and performance and efficiency, and I think my next thing is sanity to your business by using these tools. And then it's going to be that much easier to add someone and say, hey, this is the tool I use for purchasing. It does this and this. You have to fill in these 4 fields or it won't let you move on. And you provide structure and consistency, whether it's just for you as an individual or or you have a team. This will make things work so much better versus Bob doing it one way and Mary Jane doing things another. So that's where tools really help out. So let's jump in right off. Zero Order QuickBooks Online, and then always A2X accounting. So here's the deal. Even if you're a $50 million business, and we have clients that are over 30 million that we're running on Xero, okay, you need a real double entry online, cloud-based, modern, full, not cash, only cash and accrual with an actual balance sheet accounting system. And Xero and QBO are it. They've been going head-to-head for years now. They're really on par. If you're already on one or the other and you're happy with it, stick with it. If you're on the other one and you don't like it, you can switch to the other one. There's a viable alternative, but you need a true cloud-based online accounting system. There are a bunch of others out there that are cash only, but you're an inventory-based business. You need a balance sheet to keep track of it. Even if you file your taxes as cash basis, there's a hybrid model and you should be keeping track of the value of your inventory and how much you've spent on inventory. And these tools will help you do it. They're easier to use, and that's there. Now, we have looked over the last 6 years of doing e-commerce accounting, 5 years, 6 years, something like that. It's been a while. And we've looked at hundreds of books. Really, Patty has. She's the accounting expert, and she digs in, reviews all the balance sheet accounts, all the income statement accounts, and we've seen about a dozen ways people try to post the income from Amazon and break out all the fees and see sales tax and everything else. And these are all the things, the details that we cover in the training course that we offer. The only way we've seen to do that is using a tool called A2X Accounting that'll take your settlement statement, create a single invoice with 80 different fields on it, and for all the Amazon other transaction, other field, code from Amazon, and they will, it'll post it all properly in all the accounting. It's awesome. So it is the only way. Amazon is our easiest channel to post income for. It'll provide an invoice per month. It'll break it properly over the month, so all the January income ends up in January and the February income. It will help with cost of goods sold. It's just awesome. So the other thing is we do have lots of discount codes. We do have one with A2X, and the discount code is Catching Clouds, and I'll talk more about those later on. But this is, in our opinion, the only way to do it, using any tools that automatically push every single order, especially Amazon, into Xero or QBO. 1, those tools will max out and slow down, and 2, you're just creating a ton of busy work. Okay, all you have to do in the accounting is match Amazon deposited $50,000 in the settlement statement. What was in all of that? Oh, it was $80,000 worth of sales, and there's $5,000 worth of sales tax. That's what's important. So A2X is awesome, and we've got a couple blogs on our site about it as well. So, all right, so here's kind of a high-level example. I'm going to talk specifically about those things, but basically the idea is, do you directly connect Shopify or an Amazon or a BigCommerce directly to your accounting system? We tend to recommend that you don't, and in a lot of cases we recommend that you summarize the data and don't directly connect. If you see, if I grab my little pointer guy, that we actually don't have, oops, sorry, went the wrong way. We don't actually connect everything to Xero. There's an actually air gap between here, and you can replace QBO for Xero. But the idea is that you want to pull that data in. We do let A2X directly connect to Xero, but you need every order in your cloud inventory system to do profitability per SKU, profitability per order, to be able to manage inventory flow or anything else you're doing. To file sales tax properly, you need to make sure 100% of every single order from every channel, in person, B2B, tax exempt, and everything else, all end up in your sales tax tools, and that you may or may not connect these tools. Even if they do have an integration, they may or may not do the accounting properly. So just want to give you kind of a generalized picture to see kind of how these things all pull together. All right, I'm going to talk about a few more accounting tools, and I'll keep an eye on my time. The first one is LastPass. Every modern 21st century citizen should be using a password manager, especially if you're in business, especially if you're selling on Amazon. So everybody knows that they turned on two-factor authentication yesterday and forced everybody to use two-factor authentication. We did that on the 100 or so Amazon accounts we have access to. So we get lots of emails with lots of codes to log in. But LastPass is a password vault. You can store all of your passwords. I'm a big fan of all of this. We actually, on our site, on our training site, I have a ebook that we put together on kind of e-commerce security best practices. So my background is in PCI security and CISSP and doing security for Fortune 50, Fortune 500 companies. So now I focus on smaller business. It's a much better place. But you want to make sure you have a unique password for every site that you log in, and it's a unique complex password, and that you have two-factor authentication on LastPass and Amazon in your banks and email as a minimum. All right, there's a few other base tools that you want to have. We love HubDoc. Most e-commerce sellers have between 2 and 10 or 20 credit cards. HubDoc will automatically, their robots will automatically go out, log on to Chase or Wells Fargo, and download the bank statements and check images and all of that information. So all that information that you need is all waiting for you. You can also scan and send receipts via email or upload them, and they'll help you manage your receipts and have you break down your purchase orders that have both shipping and discounts and customs and everything else before it goes to the accounting. Then you have payroll. We love Gusto. Gusto's in all 50 states. They provide workers' comp. They have benefits. They do onboarding offer letters and those HR documents and employee signatures and direct deposit. It's just easy to use, affordable, modern, online cloud software. We recommend T-Sheets for time tracking. So if you have hourly employees, they can have the tool on their mobile phone. You can have a kiosk in your warehouse. It'll do geolocation. So if they leave a certain area, it'll log them out. And then we use Futurely. So for people that can't read a income statement or a balance sheet and just look at numbers and derive meaning, Futurely is a financial dashboard that'll let you look at things graphically, similar to some of the other tools I'm going to talk about shortly. So those are all kind of the initial core fundamental tools that really any business would need, but specifically in e-commerce business. And don't forget that e-commerce businesses take off. Everybody wants your business to take off. You nail the right marketing campaign, you get the right blog going, you get on whatever show, and all of a sudden you're selling, 100 units a day or 1,000 units a day or some crazy amount. Well, all of a sudden your business is flying. Well, make sure you take advantage and deal with the fundamentals first, okay? All right, so now let's talk about some specifics that solve specific problems. The first one that we like is Veeam, and Veeam is a modern blockchain-based online tool that integrates with Xero and QBO that replaces the need to go and take your firstborn into the bank and spend 2 hours and sign in blood and fill out 8 forms and then just kind of give over $50,000 to the bank to do an international wire. And then you kind of have to wait a day or two or a week, and you keep pinging your Chinese supplier. Did you get it? Did you get it? Veeam replaces all of that. They don't charge for the wire fee, so that's going to save you money. It's all online, and just like tracking like a FedEx shipment, you're going to be able to track your money. And they also have additional security on the far end to make sure that you're really making sure the money is going to who you want it to. The first one might take a little bit longer, and then after that, you're looking at 1 to 2 days to make payments. Sometimes a little longer, but typically it really just makes that process seamless. Now, if you're an international Amazon seller, you're selling on Amazon.com, Amazon CA, Amazon CO UK, and all the little EU ones, you need to know about World First or Payoneer, okay? These are both competitors. What they'll do is they will both pull the money out of Amazon and charge you at least 1% less for the financial transfer fee than what Amazon does. So off the bat, they'll save you money. They don't have a monthly fee. And then what they allow you to do is keep funds in that currency and basically make a virtual bank account in, let's say, the UK. And with the Brexit and all the changes, the currency conversion rate, you can just get hammered on that rate, and they'll allow you to keep the money in that other currency for whatever amount of time until you say, hey, oh, the currency rate hits a threshold that I'm okay with, and they can transfer the money. Now, at any time, you can log in and say, hey, transfer me my money today. Payoneer also adds the functionality of keeping currency money in that currency and being able to issue payments directly out of it. I think World First is working on it, but the last time I checked, it didn't do it. They're both good tools. They both don't have Xero or QBO integrations that I'm aware of right now. I've been definitely bugging them on those to really automate that flow and tracking of how money and handling the currency conversion stuff pretty efficiently. But these are key tools that you want to have if you're expanding internationally, okay? Let's move on. I keep an eye on my time. I'm going to make this be a quicker one. I tend to talk really fast, so I'll try to slow down. I'm trying to show multiple logos and multiple companies so people have a choice and that people can compare the different tools. But in this case, I'm not aware of another company, or at least an online cloud modern company that provides factoring. So there's Payability. Okay, so Payability allows you to connect your Amazon Bank. So if you're on 2-week settlement statements that you get paid out every 2 weeks, and you've got to wait on cash flow and really plan the whole way you do your business, and of course, since our months and weeks aren't the same number of days, you never know, are you going to get paid on a Monday this time or a Thursday or a Friday? Now, there are some lucky people out there that are grandfathered in and can get paid daily out of Amazon. We have clients that are getting paid weekly, but if you're getting paid every 2 weeks and it's stressing you out, or you're having a challenge managing your cash flow, or you're ramping up your credit cards even more, you can use Payability. You connect Payability and they will pay you a percentage of what the daily sales were for each day and roll that into your bank. So basically it's kind of a triangle that you connect your Amazon Seller Central account to Payability. They link to your bank account. They'll pay you daily, and then when Amazon pays the settlement, they'll drop it in there, and then there's a little true up at the end of the month. So this really is a great service if you're challenged on cash flow, but make sure you are working with your accountant. You do the math. Make sure you understand what it's costing you to leverage this service, okay? So is the cost, basically the interest you're paying or fees that you're paying to use this service, worth the benefit of having that cash flow and the sanity and being able to manage things better and pay, handle payroll and all those other things without tapping into your own savings. So things stay in the business. So I wasn't familiar with any other service like that, or it didn't show an option. All right. Sales tax. For those of you, if you didn't know, the amnesty finished yesterday. So if you didn't decide to make a decision, the decision's been made for you. Sales tax is a critical issue for anybody selling on Amazon FBA, or, it's important if you're also just doing fulfilled by merchant and, doing your own seller fulfilled prime, you might limit your nexus. I have done many, many webinars. I've got a recorded one under Catching Cloud /Speaking where I had a debate on whether the amnesty was good or bad and where things stand, but it is something you need to be aware of. If you've made the decision and have registered an estate, then you can collect sales tax. So do not start collecting sales tax using the Amazon service, which you have to be a pro seller for, unless you have a registration. You're registered and you have a license in that state. So I'll stop there. Basically, sales tax is really complex. We use a tool to do all the filing in our business. And even if you're in a single state, you're only registered in one state, I highly recommend that you use one of these tools. Let the automation, it is worth the cost to save you both the time and the frustration. The rules are constantly changing, and let these tools validate the data. Yes, you can go into Amazon and go into the reports and the sales tax report and download it and pivot it and look up what you've spent and what you've collected. But you want to make sure you've done sales tax properly, including enabling product taxability. TaxJar has a phenomenal Facebook group that's really active, as well as a great blog site. TaxJar is a great tool, very simple interface, powerful. Taxify is another one of the tools that's out there that you can use that is backed by Sovos, so one of the larger sales tax companies. And then, of course, Avalara is always involved in sales tax, and they have TrustFile. Really look at these like any of the other tools I talk about. Go look at the tool and make sure that you understand that, look, this is the value. And you can say, well, it's only a few minutes of my time. Well, is it? And what if you're traveling? You know, if you want this more automated, you're only an Amazon seller, you can really set things to kind of set and forget, where you set sales tax to be collected on Amazon. It flows into like TaxJar. TaxJar is set to auto-file, and the money goes into your account from Amazon and out of your account to the state, and you don't have to put any time on it. So I'm going to really stress that these tools are worth the additional cost, even for a small seller. Okay. Now, outsourcing your accounting or hiring a virtual CFO or any of those other things, that can cost a lot more than just leveraging these tools and automating things. So I'm always happy when I talk to sellers that are leveraging a number of tools. I still talk to quite a few people that are over 5 million, running on spreadsheets, minimal tools. And that's great that they've gotten where they want, but how much farther could they be? How much more sleep would they get? How much time would they get back to spend with their kids and others? But I highly recommend, no matter who you are, because sales tax is so complicated, to work closely with and leverage one of these tools. And if you're concerned about sales tax, work with a SALT, sales and local tax provider, or outsource them to somebody that specializes in that, whether it's an accountant that does it or a CPA or a specialized firm. All right. So, okay. Excuse me. So I've got a number of the cloud inventory tools. So we highly recommend that e-commerce businesses, we pretty much require it for our clients, have a cloud inventory tool. It provides structure, a process of purchasing the products and creating a purchase order and capturing the cost of what you're paying for products, through to receiving the products that, hey, we've received those products and adjust your overall cost, to being able to track stock transfers from your own garage or your prep warehouse or your distributors to Amazon. So if you pull all your product in locally, prep it, label it, and then send it to Amazon, you want to know where that is. Is it on it? Is it inbound? Is it on a boat? You know, is it in a container? And you know, where are things going? Excuse me. And then it will connect and pull in every order from Amazon, Amazon CA, Amazon CO UK. It'll show you where all those things are, and then you can manage it from there. It provides a great amount of structure, and because most accounting systems can't handle that volume, that's what these systems are built for. Now, we have clients on about 10 different platforms. I've evaluated over 50. I know a lot of the people at all these companies. I've consulted to some of them. We're always pushing them to do things better from an accounting perspective. But they each have their own pro and cons, and I recommend you look at one or two or three in figuring out what the best solution is for you. So if we talk about Skubana, Skubana is really fast, has a great interface. They have their order bots, and they're really focused on that multi-channel fulfillment. That if you've got you're using FBA and multiple 3PLs, 3PL, third-party logistics warehouses, and other, it's really great. And they're really focused on analytics and doing a great job. You've got Deere and Sin7, Sin7 out of New Zealand and Deere out of Australia. So we've got some great international companies represented. Really great international. Understand multi-currency. They both do light manufacturing. So if you're taking 1,000 gallons of whatever and put it into small bottles or different sizes, or you're assembling things, or you have really advanced kitting where you have 5 of these and a 5-pack of those and all these different things, these tools can handle it. You just have to find the right tool. Both Deere and Sin7 do business to business and can do invoicing if you're doing B2B and wholesale sales. Sin7 is kind of unique on these companies in the fact that they have their own EDI module. You don't have to pay for SPS Commerce or B2B Gateway to do EDI, and that can be a huge impact if you're selling to Target or Bye Bye Baby, or you're doing EDI connections. Now, depends on where you are in the business. Now, if you're a startup and you're looking for that first tool and you want some structure, Ecom Dash and Odoro are really great. They're a little bit small. They're more affordable, and they're a great way to get started. But they also grow really well with you, and they've got a great user interface. They're really focused on solving the problem and automating this process of managing inventory and automating those processes. Now, if you're managing your own warehouse, you've got your own space and a few people and a forklift or whatever else, ShipHero is really strong. The warehouse management stuff, the ability to have a tablet and go around and barcode scanners and all that fun stuff to manage your environment is really great. We got Vico, which is out of the UK, which is another international tool. They've got their own spin and focus. There's a lot of consistency among these tools, but you have to find the one that has the features that you want, doesn't do bad things that you don't like or don't fit or won't fit where you're growing into. And then meets your current pricing. You've got Fulfill.io, which is actually the more priciest one on here. They're about $1,500 a month, but they've got a lot of really deep feature sets depending on what you're doing. Now, if I didn't mention any of the others, so we have clients on TradeGecko and there are other tools. I see a question out there. They're another good tool as well. I didn't want to clutter my screens up too much. They have some B2B stuff, and there are lots of other tools. These are the ones that we work with the most, that I've seen really progressing and evolving and are really focused on continually evolving, improving, really care about the customers, provide feedback, and you're just going to have to figure out what the right tool is for you and your business at this stage. It could be that you go with a smaller tool and that you might outgrow it in a year or two. If you're thinking to outgrow it by the end of this holiday season, you might as well start with it. And if you're trying to decide whether you should implement it now before the busy, crazy holiday season and Black Friday or after, I would suggest that you implement it now. Even if it's in just record mode where all it does is pull the data in and you update costs to get the insight and get familiar with it, because the more data these tools have, the better insight they can give you into what's going on. So kind of spent a lot of time on the cloud inventory. It's kind of a key area for us. There are no perfect solutions. You want to get the most features and then expect to enhance and expand, look for ones that integrate with your channels and your merchant processors and go from there. So, all right. Let's see, I'm just taking a look at the questions. All right, cool. All right, real-time analytics. So I think these real-time analytics tools are phenomenal, and a large number of our clients are using them, but I want to make sure that there's definitely a difference between accounting, double entry accounting, where you reconcile the bank statement at the end of the month to what the bank says. So if you think you have $100,000 in QBO or zero, and the bank thinks you have 50, the bank wins. Or you think you have 100K and money hasn't showed up, the bank doesn't know about it, but they're sure not going to let you take it out of the bank without you knowing about it. And there's a significant difference between what you use both accounting tools for and tools like this. Now, a lot of these tools do talk about accounting and they can give you accounting insight, but that's not the same as actually doing accounting. Right now, one of the Shopify reports shows about 20% more sales than what actually we see when we finish the books. And our clients are like, wait, I thought I sold an extra $20,000 on Shopify. When we look at the dashboard, it only shows voided and canceled orders in that top level number. So all of our sellers think they're selling more day to day when they look at their Shopify dashboard. Now, these tools don't do that, but between timing differences and differences in costs and the process for accounting, you're going to have a 5 or 10% gap one way or the other with these tools, and that's perfectly fine. What you want to look for these tools is to make those real-time decisions. Is per SKU, is it profitable? After all the Amazon fees, after all the marketing and the pay-per-click, after all these other tools, and it saves you the time of downloading multiple Amazon reports, Seller Central reports. So managed by Stats, And we have clients, I've played with all of these, I should have said before, so keep in mind we don't have our own store. I can log into most of these tools because we have a client on most of the tools that I talk about on this session. And I geek out on the technology. I've talked to quite a few of the people that run these tools, and they're just so passionate about solving the problem. And you need to figure out which one of these tools meets your needs. And of course, if I've missed tools that you're using, you can, feel free to email me or post it in the chat, and you might have some of your own favorite tools. And that's great. So as long as you've made the decision and found a tool. So Fetcher really does provide a great UI. They're providing some unique views on the accounting. They are truly a cash only, so they're really not looking at the balance sheet side of things. But all these people are doing community. Hello Profit has some really great charts and graphs, and I traded emails with a client who just until they found it, they just really didn't have insight into exactly what's going on every individual order out at Amazon. And Hello Profit, both the way it was structured and the way the charts and graphs work really clicked for them and really helped them make a solution. Cash Cow Pro, I run into great reviews on Cash Cow Pro all over the place. And if that's the right fit for you, you want to go that way. Inventory Lab has been around for a long time. I can tell you for many years until we switched to A2X for cost of goods sold. They provided pretty accurate cost of goods sold. They've added some other functionality. They've been around there for quite a while. They automate some of the inbound shipping and provide some other functionality that really does help, especially smaller sellers when you don't have structure. So I highly recommend every seller have a tool along these lines to really understand what's going on and save you time versus downloading the reports and pivoting the data and just looking at the Seller Central reports. All right. Now we're going to talk about purchasing analytics. I get this question all the time of, well, I really need something to tell me what I should be buying, okay? Whether you're looking for stock outs and you don't want to run out of stock at FBA so that you lose the buy box and your ranking drops. So a tool like Forecastly is really phenomenal about monitoring your inventory, putting in say, look, from the time I place a purchase order, it takes me 16 days or 42 days until the product's live in FBA. And it'll tell you, hey, you're selling 1 unit a day, 1 unit a day. Hey, you do some marketing or something changes, the weather changes, and you start selling 20 units a day. It'll tell you you have 4 days until you have to place a purchase order for products not to run out of stock and tell you what's going on. The other thing you want to be looking at your products is you might have a 300% margin product that sells 2 a day, but you might have a 30 or 40% margin product that sells 300 a day. Okay, you could have a lower margin product that has such a high volume that it's turning cash over faster, and you want tools like this. So you've got a Teikametrics that's really going to focus on the retail space and both help you figure out what of your products or any of your listed products you should be buying because they're selling, and they're going to look at a broader view and give you more analytics on what you should be buying versus just reordering your different products. You have to figure out what the right tools are. And then you have Restock Pro, which is, a lot of sellers will say, hey, it's the first tool they start with where they really need help with the purchasing and the analytics, and it'll provide that very focused review on, hey, what do I need to do about reselling, what products should I be purchasing, and then they'll provide a purchase order functionality, and it's paired with some other tools. Inventory Planner is really more of an inventory analytics. If you're really looking for that long-term, they'll provide short-term reports, but also those long-term reports to say, what should I be buying 3 months from now? Or, how much should I stock up so I know how much capital I need in that longer-term view. Now, there are other tools like LOCAD out there and a few others that we've looked at. Some of this functionality is built in, but each of these tools specifically focus on that, and then you absolutely should consider them when looking at that functionality. So, all right. So I think the nice thing about having Patty is she's going through and answering all of the questions. Okay. One of the tools I won't be mentioning on here is Webgility, which is really more a kind of Zapier on steroids kind of tool. We take the approach of, look, you don't want to take a tool that pushes every bit of information into the accounting and try to turn the accounting into your e-commerce tool. If you look at all the different categories of tools here, they're all solving specific problems, and you might end up with multiple tools. So it just depends on what you're trying to accomplish. All right, repricing. A couple different tools. I've got SellerSnap up in the corner because it's a white logo and I couldn't find a back one. So they're a newer provider, but repricing has really become critical. And I don't want to preach to everybody, even though, I'm kind of stating very strong opinions. So Teikametrics has repricing built in. If you're a reseller and you're reselling a variety of other products and you're competing with anybody else on tools, the best way to do that is to be repricing that. Now, it's not use a tool to race to the bottom and the lowest amount of money. I know quite a few sellers for Prime Day or Black Friday. They crank everything up and push higher prices during those high volume times. They might get less sales if they're not discounting as much, but the sales they get will be at a higher profit margin. If you have dozens and dozens or hundreds and hundreds of SKUs, this is the only way to dynamically update those costs to be competitive. And making 5 cent, 3 cent, $2 price changes dynamically kind of changes how we look at things psychologically. So if anybody here hasn't watched Dan Ariely TED Talks, so he's a behavioral economist, and he's got some great stuff, including one online, which is really great. Not to throw that into repricing, but you need to adapt to what people think, and you can't just leave things static. Now, if you have one SKU and you have a brand and you own the MAP price on it, you can't just leave the price the same and say, hey, it's always at list, or you only occasionally have these discounts. You really can adjust behavior and have people that don't buy and increase that by making those brand changes. Now, my understanding is Teikametrics doesn't do that today, but both FeedAdvisor and I think SellerSnap does. Both ActPeople and Selco are also some of the key players when it comes to repricing. So FeedAdvisor's been out there. They're doing AI. They're doing analytics. They're a great company out of Israel. I've talked to a bunch of the people there. And they're really just trying to solve these problems as well as provide those financial dashboards, profitability analytics, and a number of other tools. So you might see one tool, which you'll see Teikametrics a few times on here, doing multiple functions, and you're going to have to decide, do you want point tools that really solve a problem narrowly, or do you want to look at a tool that solves multiple problems that might cost more? And then you might look, both Teikametrics and FeedAdvisor are a little pricier. They're looking in some cases, a lot of cases, for a percentage of the sales that they're impacting. I think AppEqual is a fixed price tool, and that might make more sense for you now. So those are the things you really want to consider. But on Amazon, you really need to be looking at repricing to be competitive, whether you're a brand or you're reselling and you have competition. And it doesn't mean I'm going to use this tool to race to the bottom. I will warn you, you want to make sure that your costs are accurate before leveraging these tools. So if you pay $2 to create an item or to purchase an item, but it costs you $8 to get it from China or India to the US per item, make sure you're using your base cost as $10 or $10 plus the time and cost it takes you to ship it into Amazon or for you to prep it and label it, and that you might have your base cost as $15. Now, there's some extra works to account for that properly in accounting, but you want to make sure you're very careful and that you've added up all the costs that go in every step that takes between buying the product and getting it live in Amazon. So that's my 2 cents on repricing. We'll see if there are any other questions. Okay. All right. So sponsored product. So as everybody knows, Amazon is not only trying to get their 15% marketplace fee and the 5 to 7% for FBA, they're now trying to get every bit of the margin or profit out of every sale, not only their own sales, but all the 3P and the third-party seller sales, which includes they now are doing that. You really need to be effective, and everything I'm hearing from people I respect, that the first 2, 3, 4 weeks when you launch a new product, you need to spend 100% of all of your profit on PPC, price per click and sponsored products to really get it launched, to move it up the rankings in Amazon for you to get those sales, and then you can start backing off, but not necessarily to zero. Okay, Amazon's marketing is both critical for sellers, and you want to be able to monitor and manage it. You're talking about money. It is one of those things that I've heard nightmares of people setting, clicks wrong and setting the metrics wrong, and all of a sudden they burn through their budget in 3 clicks and all of those things. And it's just a dynamic process. Plus Amazon is tweaking the rules and their algorithms. You really do need another tool. So you've got Teikametrics again, that they're really focused. This is based on what they're telling me, their top priority of really helping sellers solve this. Sellics, who I read a bunch of good reviews about, who I've never actually interacted with, and none of my clients do, and Settler Labs, who's really been committed to this space for quite a while. I run into them at conferences, and they're really committed to really providing solid solutions. So these are really key players, and you really want to look at it. You can do it yourself. Kind of in general, it's always good to try it once and go find the spreadsheets or go read a few blogs on how you calculate it yourself and go do it, and then pay attention to how long it takes you to monitor what's going on, and then balance, what your time's worth to leveraging a tool like these to really manage these critical campaigns as effectively as possible. All right, let me keep moving. All right, so I've talked about, mostly I've been focused really on Amazon only tools, and the majority of the tools I've just covered are Amazon only. They're starting to branch out a little bit into Shopify, but for the most part they're Amazon only, except for the cloud inventory tools. The cloud inventory tools are truly multi-channel. But if you're looking for a tool that you really want to dynamically list your products on multiple channels, and keep the stock quantities in sync across these multiple channels, being able to sell on multiple Amazons, on Shopify, BigCommerce, WooCommerce, Magento, Walmart.com, eBay, Etsy, Chewy for pet products, all those other things. You want to look at a tool here that'll kind of automatically keep all those things in sync, not only so you can create a single listing and dynamically push it and adapt it so that it's listed properly, and keeping those things up to date across channels, keeping quantities up to date, and make sure all of those things flow, even if it's all coming down into a single 3PL, or you're fulfilling some stuff out of FBA. SellerActive and Sellbrite. Sellbrite's been doing this for quite a while. Are great tools when it comes to solving this specific problem. Yes, there's a Shopify, built by Shopify to Amazon FBA integration, and you can use that. There's some newer integrations to eBay that are out there that people are talking about, and you can leverage those, and some of them are free, and if that works for you, you just need to put the additional time. The cost of these tools is for a more robust, dynamic solution that'll automate more of the functions. You might not quite be there yet, or you might already be way past there and you've been looking for these tools. So I'm kind of pointing these things out that are out there. I could have had 30 logos on almost every single one of these slides. I really did try to curate them down to ones that are getting high reviews, that I've seen that customers, people that I've actually talked to are happy about. I've read through some forums. Take a look at things. So these are the core tools that I think have a lot of value. They're all SaaS tools, and they're really trying to solve specific problems. And there is some overlap between some of these tools and what they do. You might you have tools that overlap in some areas, but you still use both of them because they solve your problem better, and you're the one that gets to decide that. All right. There are a world of other tools out there. Okay, so, and I didn't go into, there's all the product scouting tools. Okay, there's a million webinars on all of those things, whether it's Jungle Scout or many of the others. Some of the tools that I listed here have their own scouting functionality built in on top of the core feature that I highlighted here, and I'm not going to throw a bunch of those logos in, but those are things that are pretty critical. We tend to focus on the back end of, hey, you're a business. These are the tools you need to optimize your business to grow and scale. It doesn't change the fact that you need to, do product scouting. Feedback tools. You definitely need to manage feedback. Reviews are so critical on Amazon, and there are a range of those tools that are out there. I think a few of the tools are the family of tools that some of these companies have those as well. There's a bunch of refunds management tools. Now, you want to be careful with these. Amazon has really been changing their policies around tools that dynamically or automatically via the APIs create every time a refund or a return disappears, that they issue a case, that they expect someone to type a case in and that you consolidate that. But you definitely want to look at those. But if you're concerned about refunds, you want to make sure you do that. And then there's so many more other tools depending on what problem you're trying to solve. Do the research, read the reviews, do a trial, and move on. So I have a few bits of advice. So some final thoughts, okay? Get the most out of every tool. If you're paying for functionality that you're not using, go play with it. You don't want to pay another $5,900, $200 for another tool, and it turns out the company you really like that does something else for you has that same functionality and you're already paying for it, okay? And that includes, don't just bounce from tool to tool. If you really like a tool and it's not quite right, or you see something, speak up, take a screenshot, ask for a feature, open up a support case, contact them on Facebook or Twitter or whatever else. Push it. If it's like, oh, it's so close, or, oh God, if it only did this, ask. They might go, well, we already do that. Did you know it's over here? You click here, here, and here. Or they'll consider working on it depending on how many people speak up. So get the most out of every tool, okay? Follow their blogs, have a Google alert for them, pay attention to what they're doing, and then keep an eye on their competition as well, okay? And you can always throw the competition in other people's face. Have a set budget and use it all, okay? You are not saving money. So whether you're really small and you're like, yeah, I can't spend $50, I would think a minimum. For the accounting, you're going to pay $30 to $70 for Xero or QBO, okay? You're going to pay a bunch. So, I'm saying A2X, and you're going to have those base tools. So you're going to have a base number of tools that you need as a business no matter what, okay? But for tools like analytics or repricing or whatever else. Now, repricing gets tricky when they want a percentage of your sales. So that's one of those things that if they're helping you make more and more money, that can be okay, but you want to kind of keep an eye on the totals for those. But whether it's $200 or $500, set a budget, set it higher, maybe even 50% or 100% more than you're comfortable with right now. So whether that's an extra $200 or $500 or $1,000 today, set that budget now and go use it. Go fill in tools that optimize your business before you hire the next virtual assistant or a next employee. And then, make sure you take the time to get the most out of that tool. Put the time in to learn it, read support, ask questions, go from there. Don't be cheap here. If everybody wants to make, let's say $200,000 at the end of the year, nice easy number. That means your time is worth $100 an hour, okay? So if it takes you 4 hours or even an hour to download all the Amazon reports and then pivot them and then finally make a decision, then you're wasting all the time. If it takes you 4 hours, then you can spend $400 on a tool that saves you that time and then gives you more value, okay? But remember, cancel tools you aren't using. In this world, all these SaaS tools, and I know a bunch of them love it when people sign up for their tools and then don't use them. Actually, it really kind of bugs them when they're not using them. But go look at your bank statement or Xero or QBO and look at all the tools you're paying. If you've stopped using a tool, go cancel it because they'll charge you for months. So we run into this every month with our clients. So, and then automate and integrate those solutions. So if you all of a sudden have 4 tools that all need your costs to be up to sync to give you the reporting and information you need, you want to automate that process. Otherwise, you've got to have costs in one tool like your cloud inventory, then export it to a CSV, then import it to this tool, then that tool. Oh, we forgot this month, so those reports are off. You want to automate and link those things up. So you want to use tools like Zapier to integrate that and move costs around between those different systems. If you have your own developer, my view is whether you have a developer friend or you're a developer or you can get access to a developer, one of the big advice that for our larger clients that are typically over 100K per month in the 1 million to 30 million space, I'm pushing them all to make sure that they are getting a developer, whether it's offshore or local or whatever, to fill the glue when these tools don't meet their needs or to automate their process, whether it's setting up Zapiers for them or whatever else. It's my view, key thing for success. Now I have run into somebody that I really like, and that's Will at Data Automation, and they consider themselves Zapier ninjas. So they can do this work for you. I should have thrown their logo up on there too, but they're definitely someone you can reach out to if you're not a developer and you're like, God, if I have these 3 tools and if they just talk to each other and you can draw a perfect picture of what you want, it would automate what you're doing. All right, so we've got a few links. Now, of course, the point is we wanted to provide this information and I hope it's helpful. but we have our Catching Clouds Academy with our Shopify, accounting for Shopify and accounting for Amazon courses. We do have a couple Facebook groups where you can ask questions. You do have to pay for our course. We'll answer a wide range of questions, but some of them will be go, hey, watch the course again. You can follow us on Twitter. We're always posting other information. We're looking forward to feedback. This is something we're really committed to. So we'll continue to add content, each quarter to really help sellers as well as their accountants. So if you're a seller and your accountant is clueless and can't spell FBA, have them take our training. All right. So now I've got the Q&A. I know Patty's been answering quite a few questions, and I see things on the chat. Let me see. And yeah, and the great thing, I have quite a few people here that are mentioning, I didn't see, different tools. People mentioned PPC Scope is one that they're happy with. So, hop on forums, whether it's e-commerce fuel or Facebook groups or whatever else, and talk to your peers, there's a number of different tools depending on what you want to automate. But keep an eye. These things aren't necessarily set and forget. So definitely make sure you're monitoring them. For the most part, for quite a few of these tools, the only thing you have to upload other than connecting it to Amazon is your costs. Okay. So, but make sure you're uploading as accurate costs as possible. Let's see. Let me see if there's any. Oh, I've got a bunch of open questions. Let me pop through here. All right. So there are definitely sales tax services. Somebody asked me, should a bookkeeper give client access to their payability account? What you want to do, especially in Amazon, and we talk about this in that best practices work paper, is accountants, like in our case, we want limited access. We want the ability to log in and pull reports and the data out of like payability to figure out the percentages and interest and everything else, but we don't want the ability to make changes. So all the bank logins we get or credit card logins are sub logins that give us access to the statements and the transactions, but not the ability to spend money. We're not fiduciaries. So if you're a seller, wherever possible, you want to give people limited access, whether it's a virtual assistant or whoever else, whether it's your bank or Amazon or whatever else. For those of you who don't know, never share your Amazon admin account with your accountant or anybody else. You want to do that because if you don't have permission to have multiple Amazon accounts and your accountant or VA or somebody else, two different people log in to the admin account for two different accounts, both could be suspended, and then you've got to fight to get those back online, okay? I didn't mention ShipStation. I didn't think about the shipping tools. I was kind of focused more on cloud inventory. So ShipStation is a great tool for automating the shipping. There's Shipping Easy and a bunch of other tools. You guys are helping me out here. So ShipStation is a great tool. It has some light inventory functionality, but it's not really a cloud inventory tool, but it is great for connecting UPS, USPS, FedEx, and managing the shipping. Some of the cloud inventory tools have built-in shipping, like Skubana does, and you don't need ShipStation, and some integrate into ShipStation. What's the difference between purchasing analytics and cloud inventory? Okay. I would have to say at varying levels, the purchasing analytics tools that are really focused on providing that analytics in Amazon are really doing, I think, a good job, depending on what your requirements are, of doing that. All of the cloud inventory tools say they're working on analytics, but most of them just say, hey, you have 100 units in stock, you should probably buy more. All you can do is set a minimal threshold. It's not doing real analytics, AI, machine learning to tell you what's going on. I think Skubana is really pushing hard on this area, but for the most part, cloud inventory tools are record the purchase order, track receiving product versus the analytics. They're all heading there with varying levels of success. So you want to keep an eye on that, okay? Yeah, I've got a question on Teikametrics versus Skubana. Teikametrics is not a cloud inventory tool. It is a front-end analytics tool that will help you with purchasing, but it is not doing stock transfers and a number of other things. So if you can compare and contrast those different tools, okay? Everybody has varying degrees of success with the Shopify to Amazon integration. If you do, then consider one of the multi-channel fulfillment or cloud inventory tools that will do a better job of keeping your quantities updated. The other thing is in a cloud inventory tool, let's say you're down to 5 units in stock and you're selling on 5 channels, you could receive 1,000 units into the right warehouse and it will automatically update those quantities on all 5 channels. Okay, so cloud inventory tools do a bunch of different things. I see a great question. Where can you find a virtual CFO? We have a number of virtual CFO partners that we know that are that work with e-commerce businesses. They understand Amazon. They understand that space. If you email academy@catchingclouds.net, we'll be happy to answer that question and introduce you to a few of the virtual CFOs that we know. Let's see. I see a couple questions on Fishbowl. Fishbowl has been around for quite a while. It worked with QuickBooks Desktop. They've moved into the cloud. The last time I looked and did a comparison with them is they're still a very strong, robust inventory tool, but they hadn't really fully dug in and integrated. And I haven't looked to see recently if they integrate with Amazon or Shopify or BigCommerce. The tools I mentioned are all focused on e-commerce and already integrate with multiple channels. Usually all of the Amazon.com, CA, CO UK, and allow you one tool to support there. Like another tool I don't mention is like Unleash Software, which is a great light manufacturing tool, but they don't integrate with Amazon. They just recently integrated with Shopify. So if you want to expand and change your e-commerce business, you have to find a tool that maps that way. Let's see. I'm getting to the end. I'm going to answer one more question. Cloud inventory tools. We don't let any of the cloud inventory tools integrate directly to Xero because they push too much information or the wrong information. So it might be great that they push purchase order information over, but they might not update it or do a two-way sync. They might push every order over. Well, if they're integrated to Amazon and you lose A2X to post a summary invoice, you don't want TradeGecko or any other, or Sin7 or any other cloud inventory tool to push all those Amazon orders over to Xero. Otherwise, or QuickBooks, you're double counting them. Okay, they don't do a batch summary that will help you reconcile that data. And then a lot of them push 2 cent, 5 cent, $50, 100 manual journal entries in your accounting for stock moves. So what we recommend and what we do is you pivot the data at the end of the month, validate it, and then post a manual journal entry. It is faster and much easier than cleaning up data that either WebGility or a cloud inventory tool pushed into your accounting, because the goal of your accounting system is to provide you accurate financials to make financial decisions. So I'm going to wrap up there. I hope this was helpful. Definitely send us any questions either on Facebook or specifically our e-commerce accounting academy Facebook groups. You can email us at academy@catchingclouds.net. But I hope you found this useful, kind of opened your eyes to the pros and cons, and give you a few tools to go check out. Try them, pick the ones you want, and make sure you close down the ones you're not actually using. So everybody have a wonderful day, and thank you for your time.